The first time that I competed in forensics, I competed in original works, and it went pretty well if I do say so myself, and I do. The only problem was that I didn't express enough emotion. So, for the second qualifiers, I decided to write about a topic that I know well and can speak confidently about for hours on end. Myself. That's right, original works take 2. This time it's personal. So yeah, you may have guessed by the title, or perhaps a little bit sooner, but I'm not always the coolest person. You see, for starters, I'm on the forensics team. Now, don't get too mad at me. It's not that participating in forensics isn't cool. It's that by sheer act of my participation, I seem to have made it uncool. I decided to compete in 2 categories this year for forensics, so I also competed in extemporaneous speaking, which is by far the most intense of all the categories, but I made that uncool. Because I have hype music, and I dance. And when I dance, I look like this. Oh. And as you can see, that just screams uncool. When we all get called to select our topics for extemporaneous speaking, there's this guy who calls us over in his big, bellowing voice. Extemporaneous speakers, come and select your topic. It's like we're secretly going on some dangerous adventure to fight a dragon or something. And if I die in the middle of a forensics quest, well, so be it. Unfortunately, I'm pretty much the Bilbo Baggins of life. I'm perfectly content to stay at home and eat second breakfast while my friends go have an adventure without me. I usually end up going along anyways, though, because I'm the only one who remembered to bring Band-Aids. I guess that makes me the mom friend of medieval quests. That doesn't exactly give me a reputation as being cool. You know, sometimes I need to pretend to be cool to give off an air of confidence, and it works pretty well most of the time, unless I'm around little kids. You see, those things can smell fear. Like 1 minute, I'm all confident, life is good, not a care in the world. And then all of a sudden, a 5-year-old walks up to me, all smug. And they're like, wow, you're old. Excuse me. Sure, maybe I was wearing a homemade cardigan that says I love cats. And sure, I'm not hip to all this newfangled slang, but I'm not old, I'm a teenager, dang nabbit. Unfortunately, my response did not necessarily reflect this. It was somewhere along the lines of, listen here, you little whippersnapper, I don't know what kind of a boisterous hootenanny you're trying to create here, but back in my day, youngsters respected their elders. Not exactly my coolest moment. Thankfully, I have a lot of time to sit at home and learn some new slang from this century, because I'm a huge introvert. The only problem is it was a little bit of a problem with my first forensics piece. I was told to let my emotions out and unleash the psychopath, but I couldn't quite do it. Luckily, there's something that will no doubt bring out my emotions, and it is definitely not sports. I mean, really, the other week, my family was watching the Super Bowl, and I didn't care who won or lost. I mean, at least it wasn't the Patriots, because Tom Brady is the worst. What I do care about is books. As somebody who loves to read, it is great living so close to Washington, D.C. because they have the Library of Congress. Have you seen that thing? It is the best thing ever. Forget Disneyland, a giant library is the happiest place on earth. But there's a problem. You see, in order to actually read the books, you have to be 16. And I'm not. To reference Jerry Seinfeld, so I can see the books, but I can't read the books. And reading the books is really the most important part. Luckily, I have plenty to read at home. It's not uncommon to see me sitting in the same giant chair for hours hours on end with no signs of life except for the occasional turning of a page. And then, all of a sudden, I can't believe they said that. What? No, don't go in there. Spoiler alert. No, Dumbledore, why? That was a lot. And I basically have the lung capacity of an 80-year-old, so it's not fun when I get sick. When I have a cold, my voice gets really deep, and I kind of start to sound like a manly man who drives a pickup truck and has a tattoo of the American flag on his bicep. And that doesn't exactly encourage me to talk to other people. Now, despite my chronic introversion, I have some fantastic friends, and we do some pretty awesome stuff together, which is great. This year, a group of my friends and I went to homecoming, and it was amazing, except for the fact that I don't like large crowds, or bright lights, or loud noises, and as you've already seen, I can't dance to save my life. Despite the plethora of problematic circumstances, I had a really nice time. And then I went home and I slept for 12 hours straight because fun is exhausting. Despite how it may sound, I actually do things for fun on a fairly regular basis. Shocker, right? So obviously I need a hobby. I don't really play sports though, and I downright avoid the most terrifying one of all. Ultimate Frisbee. Oh, you think that's funny? Whose idea was it to say, hey, let's hurl giant circles of death at each other's faces? There is a superhero whose literal only weapon is a giant Frisbee. I am not Captain America. You should not trust me with weapons-grade sports equipment. Last year, I got a concussion during a volleyball game, and I was on the bench. So clearly with sports off the table, I have to have some other hobbies. I was talking to my friend the other week and I was like, I'm so excited, I'm going to Michael's on Friday. My friend looked at me and they're like, ooh, I didn't know you were friends with Michael. I was talking about the craft store. Call me crazy, but there is nothing better than arts and crafts. I was talking to my friends earlier and I was like, yeah, we got a 3-day weekend. It's gonna be epic. I'm gonna knit a sweater for my cats. I'm gonna make a scarf with colors you didn't even know exist yet. Party time! As you may have guessed from my idea of a crazy party, I'm a fairly calm person. Most of the time. You see, there aren't a lot of things that make me mad, but when something does, oh boy, you should run for cover. Because when I'm mad, it's not just, oh, I don't like this. It's more like, I'm summoning power from the deepest depths of my untapped rage, and I shall smite you all. When this happens, my friends call it going full librarian, and it's scary. You see, because I'm normally such a quiet person, if I start yelling, people just don't know what to do. It's like if somebody released a bunch of kittens into the school during an AP test. On its own, it's a minor inconvenience at most, but people are so woefully unprepared that it causes complete and utter chaos. I stand up, I place my hands on the table. Like a lawyer, I deliver my scathing criticism of their life choices. I unleash a well-developed thesis describing in detail just how wrong they really are. I support my claim with various quotes from credible sources. I finish them off with a look that says, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, which is a lie because I'm actually very, very mad. The students are all staring at me, wondering what heinous crime was committed and how anybody can be yelling and still be using their inside voice. The dust clears. You see me standing triumphant, having defeated my adversary simply because they were too confused to fight back. The teacher reaches for an altercation form but withdraws their hand, wondering if it counts as a fight, if it was more like a formal debate or a poetry slam. The room is silent. I return to my seat, reveling in the chaos that I have created. Like all great conquerors, I came, I saw, and I made it awkward.